matter. So, item number 9, co-option of councillor. So, as I just said, fantastic to see 4 applications. Thank you all, firstly, for taking the time to apply for the council. So, I'm just going to go through, before we go, I'm just going to explain what we're going to do in the co-option process. So, I've circulated this document, which is the procedure for co-opting. And as we have only 1 vacancy and 4 applications, what I intend to do is, in alphabetical order, by surname, I will ask each candidate to make a 3-minute presentation, chat, whatever you like to say, whatever you want to say, mainly about why you want to be a councillor and what qualities you can bring us. I will then invite, in turn, once that person has spoken, quick round of questions if any councillors want to ask any questions, and then once that's done, I'll move on to the next. Once all councillors finish questions, all candidates have spoken, I will call for an election. And as there's, the rules say that a candidate must have overall majority. So as there's, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that must be 6 or more votes for 1 candidate and they get in. So what I intend to do is, we can do it by show of hands unless anybody wishes to do it by paper ballot. Paper ballot's time consuming, but I'm more than happy to do show of hands. So once it's all done, I will then say their name. If you put your hand up for, if you want to vote for them, you get 1 vote. The one with the least votes is struck off, and we do a round of robin until we have 1 candidate with overall majority, as per this here. Okay, fantastic. So, first person alphabetically is Simon Abernethy. So, Simon, would you like to speak?
Yes. Not stand up, what
yeah, you can stand up and do whatever you're comfortable with.
Evening, folks. I don't think I know anybody in this room. I don't think I've met anybody in this room.
You met me before.
Oh, so football years ago, yeah. I'm here because of you guys, really. I moved to the village approximately 23 years ago, and since, for those 23 years, basically worked in London until the last couple of years. I used to commute to London a lot. I didn't really get involved in the village. I decided that commuting to London was a pain in the ass, so I knocked it on the head 2 years ago. I'm now retired. 56-year-old, got a bit of time, and I started watching you guys on Facebook and watching the meetings. And there was a particular meeting that I watched which made me put my name forward, and I think get in contact with a couple of you to discuss it. And I think it was a finance meeting when you was doing your budgeting. And I was watching, I was sending messages in, and some of my messages were saying, please don't do that. Can we ever think about this? It might be best if we rolled the meeting, for example, and came back. And it got me thinking about, it's really easy sitting on one side of a keyboard asking questions if there's something that you can do to help. Now, I ran 32 businesses with a turnover of over 100 million quid for a ton of years. Budgeting, reforecasting, making sure finances were on point, and helping with planning, messaging, and making sure we're on the straight and narrow with stuff that I used to do that is inherent to who I am and what I can do. So I'm only here tonight to say, if you need some help, I've got some free time, I've got some experience, there's some areas on local council, parish council that I can help with, I'm willing to do that. Whether I'm appointed as a councillor or you want someone just to come in and ask some advice or say, can you help us out with this side, I'm quite happy to do that. So it's not being a councillor, it's the fact that I didn't want to sit on my phone watching you guys, sending messages in, thinking, crikey, I can help with that stuff. So that's my pitch. I've got some experience, I'm quite good at that stuff. If you need some help in certain areas, in a positive way, that's why I'm putting my hand up. If there's people who are more rounded, I'm cool with it. I'm not desperate, but I'm here to help if you need some help in that, in those areas. And I think that's the area where I could help if you feel that you needed it, because from the meeting that I looked at, it looked like planning for the future, being on top of the agenda, knowing what things cost and how you budget and reforecast, that was something that perhaps we could improve on. That's me.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Society? No? No? Well, thank you very much. That was, thank you. Moving on then. Next alphabetically is Paula. So, Paula, thank you for coming. Feel free to...
I don't know if I can match that. I don't think I can. But yes, I'm Paula McFall. I've lived in the village now for just over a year. I do know a face in here tonight. Again, yeah, part of the community, how to serve it. I enjoy being in the village. And if I can help, I've been on committees in the past. One was in a historical garden. Again, budgeting. So yes, I do know the kind of things I run. And yeah, helping out in the community and bring St Cleer forward, hopefully. Sorry, I can't really outdo that.
Any questions for Paula? Anything else? No? Anything else you'd like to add?
Not really.
No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Nick Peel.
I am Nick Peel. I've been in the area now since 1976, basically. I currently live at Durrite, been there for 26 years. I was the child protection officer at St Cleer Football Club when I used to run a couple of teams here. Got 2 sons in the area, and my sort of the thing that drives me is seeing young people getting on. And the time I've looked at St Cleer, Durrite, it seems to have gone backwards a bit. The kids aren't getting on. The facilities haven't really sort of gathered. I know we got this place here for St Cleer, which is great, but Durrite's got nothing. It really hasn't. It's got nothing at all. And for me, another passion is the homeless action. I'd like to know what the parish is actually doing. Has it got a homeless plan? Does it help homeless people? Has it got a sort of one-stop shop where homeless people can actually find somewhere, get some advice? I spent 12 years as a homeless client support worker for a charity in Liscard, CHIP. So I'd like to concentrate on the youth, really. I know we've had affordable housing around the area, but it doesn't stay affordable for long. Those restrictions get lifted off, and I want to know why. And I think the only way I can find that out is from within. To me, if we don't invest in young people, then it's just going to be like a dead community, you know. And lots of communities are dying, I'm afraid. So for me personally, it's a selfish point of view, really, because I want my kids to be happy. And I recently had a granddaughter, nearly 2, and I want her to have a future here. You know, not having to move away to find a job. But that's what's happening with our kids, and to me it's wrong. But yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah.
Just an observation, really. It's interesting that you mentioned about the homeless thing, Nick. Some time ago, I was walking out on St Cleer Downs and happened across a tent where somebody had clearly been living there, but it was long since abandoned. Right. It's not been recent, but it's an interesting point you raised.
It's shocking. I mean, we really don't know how many homeless people there are out there, but there's loads. And they might be on someone's sofa, but the mental impact of that is really, hellish.
It's shameful. People think it's shameful. I had a friend of mine. We didn't know he was, like Kevin said, sleeping in a tent. We didn't know. We never went around his house. And then we found out, and we of course got him help and support. It's a very interesting issue because you don't really know.
No.
Many, you think of homeless as somebody on the street, but it's not. It can be not having a home.
Exactly.
On somebody's
sofa surfing. But you think of their mental health stress that is for someone who's on a sofa in someone else's house.
Yeah.
Open Doors did actually support the man that Kevin's talking about.
Right.
On the tent.
Well, good.
I used to do his washing, somebody else used to take in meals.
Lovely.
He used to come in and have coffee and cake, and he's since, I think, been moved back down to, I think it was Camborne, in sheltered accommodation.
I mean, you
So
know,
we
they get
did
moved
try
on a
and
lot,
look
don't they?
after
Just
it.
get moved on mostly, you know.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was very difficult because he had mental health issues as well.
Mm. A lot, well, when you become homeless,
No, I think
if
he
you
had
haven't
them
got mental health
before.
issues, you soon will have.
I think he
you know,
had them
and that's
before,
the
to
thing,
be
like.
fair, Nick, and it
For
caused
sure.
problems with his family, and it was a very difficult situation. But we did try very hard to help
But we
him.
do tend to just move them away, don't we?
Yeah.
Bat them away because you're not really any good for our area, our image.
Yeah, no,
That's the thing I'd like to sort of get hold of.
yeah. You don't see many in our area, though,
Well,
to be honest.
But we do though, really. You know, if you look hard enough, you know, because there's going to be a lot more homeless people in a minute. You wait
Well,
and
there
see.
will be,
You
yeah,
wait and
there
see
will
with this
be.
gas going up and on everything that's happening. We're going to have loads of homeless people in a minute, especially young people who've just stretched themselves.
Well, there's a lot of young people living with parents, isn't there? Because they can't afford to move out.
Any other questions then for Nick? Nick, thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you very much.
And finally, Clive Shute.
I've got some notes to read off if you don't mind.
Of course you can.
So, good evening. My name is Clive Shute. I've lived within the parish of St Cleer in Rose Craddock for the past 17.5 years, along with my wife Alex. We have 3 children. Sam, who's just joined the police force here in East Cornwall, and 2 teenage daughters, Olivia and Holly. We run 2 successful holiday sites within the parish, Rose Craddock Manor and Rose Craddock Holiday Village. So why do I want to become a parish councillor? Firstly, I'm a believer that it's always good to give your time to help your community, as the other people have all mentioned. I'm no stranger to being part of a committee and volunteering my time. I believe I have positivity and have plenty of relevant skills, as well as the ability to listen to others. I've previously been a school governor at Pensilver Primary School for several years, where in addition to that I was also a member of their HR committee in what was a very, very challenging time for the school as it underwent lots of changes. I've also served on running club committees in various roles, and more recently I've been the chairman of Carradon Swimming Club for the past 5 years, where we've built the club up and its successes continue to grow year on year with increasing numbers of county, regional and national level swimmers. So I'm used to running a successful committee, but don't worry, I'm not after your job. So why the Parish Council now? I was actually asked to become a Parish Councillor several years ago by one of your current members, and went through the process and was unanimously voted on by this similar process. But unfortunately, due to family illness, I was never able to undertake the role and give it the time that it deserved. I also stood again at the last election and received a good number of votes, and was only a few short of actually becoming a member on that occasion. I'd also like to address what is the slight elephant in the room. A recently departed councillor publicly branded me, along with several others, as troublemakers. I have to be honest, this comment did upset me, as all I have done is to try to become involved by asking questions concerning the parish. And the person making those judgments against me has not even met me once and never held a single conversation with me. All of my dealings were professional and courteous at all times. So I can assure you all, I'm certainly not a troublemaker. Like all of you here this evening, I only want the best for the parish and am more than willing to give my time and energy to try and ensure that it is as successful as possible and a thriving, happy place to live. Yes, to achieve this, it sometimes may involve asking difficult questions, but surely it's only by doing this and asking these questions that positive change can be made, which I think the council has seen over recent years. So what skills do I bring? Hopefully experience of running my own 2 businesses over the past 17 years, and 10 years in central London hotel management has taught me some good all-round knowledge both in finance, HR and dealing with people in general. I also look after the 35 acres, including Rose Craddock Woods on the 2 holiday sites, so I might also be able to bring some insight into the estates side of things too. So thank you for your time and for listening to me.
Thank you. Any questions for Clive?
It's not a question for Clive, it's just a broader statement to all 4. It's absolutely heartwarming to see 4 candidates here tonight. I thank every one of you, and I'm sad that you can't all be successful, but I think your champions for standing forward.
It's also worth noting we do have a vacancy which we're waiting to hear about whether that goes to, co-option or election. So that, you know, if you are successful today, there is another option immediately on the horizon to put your name in the hat. Again, I will double check on the procedure, because if the vacancy does go to co-option again, I don't know if your applications are live still, but I'll check. If not, I'll certainly invite you all to reapply if not successful. So is there any other comments or questions or anything from councillors before we move to the voting? Right, so, right. So just to reiterate what I plan to do, I will say the candidate's name, one vote per candidate, one vote each person, as one councillor, sorry, vote. Raise your hand, I'll record how many. If there's an overall majority initially, that person gets it anyway. The least, it has to be a majority of more than 6, basically, 6 or more. Okay? So, Simon Abernethy. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's it. So, by a vote of 6, I should now, unfortunately, everyone else, there's more votes for Simon Abernethy there because everybody's voted for him. So I shall propose that we co-opt Simon as a parish councillor. Do I have a seconder? Yeah. Clive, all those in favour? We have to formally vote. We have to formally vote them as parish councillor.
What I'm thinking.
I don't know. What are you thinking, Kev?
Should we not have held a vote for all of the others to see if they had 6 or more?
I see each councillor has one candidate for vote for. You can't vote for one or more candidate, because if everybody votes for everyone once, we'll never get a majority.
No.
So if you vote for every single candidate, every single round, and I vote for and everyone votes the same,
The lowest one drops off each
you're
time.
not going to get a lowest one.
But we've got an overall
We've got
majority.
overall, so I clearly said it's one vote per councillor for per candidate. So therefore you can't vote for. You need to vote who you want.
No. You know, you're kind of tying yourself up in knots there. It's one vote per councillor per candidate, but we've only done one candidate. So we need to do another candidate to see how many votes they get.
No,
And the lowest one
no,
drops
well,
off.
I haven't explained it very well. The point I'm making is that you get one vote, each councillor, one vote. So you give it to Nick, you give it to Simon, you give it to Clive.
Did everybody understand that?
Yes.
Well, Brian doesn't appear to have, and I don't think I did.
Yeah, no,
I
I
had
John didn't
how to
understand
explain
it.
it now.
Penelope, did you understand it?
Yes, I did. I had one vote.
I don't think everybody understood the
Fair enough. Well,
intention, John.
okay then.
Sorry.
So, no, I thank you for that. I will read doubly short. Councillors, you have one vote only for one candidate only. Put your hand up for that candidate. Then the least number of votes, they get struck off, and we go round until such time. Yeah, there's one with an overall majority.
I think you've just reiterated the confusion. We can't go round it. We can't keep going. If what you're saying, if I understand what you're saying is, we go round and round and round with the lowest number of votes, that one drops off each time,
Yeah.
unless one reaches an absolute majority and then they go forward and the others all drop off.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
because
that's the rule
not
needs
what I
to be 6.
interpreted
The
from what you
rule
just
needs
said.
to be 6 or more votes for one candidate, then they go through, because it has to be an overall majority. You can't vote it if, you know, Nick's got 3, Clive's got 2, Emma's got 2, he's 1, and even though
Then the one drops off.
the one drops off, but the one has to have 6 or more. Does that make sense? Any other questions on it? So I'll go back to, apologies applicants to that. It's good to clarify it. So we'll go back to putting, I'll call the names again, just one vote. So those in favour of Simon Abernethy. 1, 2, 3, Six. So 6 or more. Simon, you are.
He's got it. One at a time.
So so that's 6 votes. There's 10 here, 6. So now I formally propose that Simon Abernethy is co-opted as a parish councillor. Is there a second? All those in favour? That's carried. Any against? No. Fantastic, Simon. Simon, you can sign your documents. If you sign your acceptance of office, because Emma has a copy, if you sign it now, you can become a parish councillor right now and start voting. If you so wish, if you are happy to sign it.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
No worries, thank you. Cheers.
We do have another vacancy.
Come and have a look at that.
Please do put your names forward for the next vacancy. Please do.
So if you identify anybody,
Right, while Simon's signing this thing, thank you for your time.
Lovely.
so it goes there.
I must say, I'm gutted that we've had to turn 3 people on. I'm absolutely, every single candidate who brings something to the table, I'm just saying to Sue, it's absolutely gutted when we don't hardly get any, and now we get 4, you know? So it's yeah.
Not only the number, it's the quality as well.
And I must say, honest, the finance, we need people finance. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just bring the meeting back to order. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because it's fantastic. Just